y'all, and welcome to another exciting episode of Down Home Dirt, the show where we dive deep into the journey of entrepreneurship with those who took the plunge and all the ups and downs that come with it. I'm your host, Dusta, and today we're joined with Nicki Medford, founding member of Unsanctioned Rehearsal Society. Welcome, and thank you for coming out today.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to learn so much about you. I feel like I found you on Instagram and started following you, and I love what you're doing. So tell us a little bit about yourself, like where are you from and how'd you end up in the Triangle?
Yeah, I'm originally from Southern California. Definitely triangle transplant. I think like a lot of people here. So kind of by way of Colorado, I made like a 4-year stopover in Colorado. Ended up in the Triangle, literally like throwing a dart on the map. Like, hey, looks good there, good jobs, good schools, close to the beach, and just kind of packed up and moved here when my kids were 2 and 4. And I have been loving it ever since. Had kind of started off in Raleigh and now I'm in Clayton. So it's been a cool journey being here, like 10 years now.
I feel you on that. I moved here 12 years ago and I started in Cary. Then I went to Garner and then I decided to go to Franklinton. I was there for 6 months and came to Clayton. I was like,
Yeah, I think it's easy to like bebop all over just to stay in the area. Like that's the most important thing for me is like, how do I stay kind of central to all of these things that I love in the area? So
absolutely. There's a lot of great things here. And that's one of the reasons why I originally moved here too. And then I got involved in business and was like, wow, there are so many more things that I did not know about. So one of the
yeah.
things that I learned from you is about Little Doodles Play. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, so that started in 2015. I had moved here 2016. I started a Little Doodles Play Café kind of out of a concept of where can I go to take my kids? My kids were young at the time, where I can have a good cup of coffee, hang out with friends, but they can have a good time too. We had a lot of like hands-on children's museums. You know, we have the Science Museum and Marbles in Raleigh, but I always kind of wanted this more small scale, like where can my kids play right next to me while I sit and have a cup of coffee, either do some work because I've always like been somewhat entrepreneurial or freelance or gig work and whatnot. So Little Doodles Play Cafe was kind of born. It was called Snickerdoodles at the time of my conception and as a founder. It kind of was born from the community for the community. We started crowdsourcing on a platform called Indiegogo and we raised $2,500. We opened that shop in Raleigh with like $10,000 startup, so it was really a very low entry startup fee. And we had the community backing, and I think that was like really what drove the success of that business was tapping into the community and saying, "This is for you. We want your support. We want your help. We're doing this so that moms have a safe place to stay, grandparents, dads, anybody with children had a safe place they could come and hang out and play." I ended up selling my portion of that business so that I could homeschool and stay home with my kids more. As you know, entrepreneurship and being a business owner is very, very demanding. And so, about 2 years after I had opened, I sold to my partner, and she has, grown it to like three locations in the Triangle, and it's thriving under that initial concept of, hey, what do I need for myself, and how can I bring that to the community? So, it was a pretty exciting journey.
It's awesome because I remember when it was Snickerdoodles and I used to take my kid there and I was like, this is
Oh, really?
amazing, which was the
Oh, so fun.
oh, it was so great. And I could sit and I could like the kids could play with other kids too and get like socialization.
Yeah.
And I was like, this
Mhm.
is freaking perfect. And I get to go talk. I have a mom friend who was a stay-at-home mom. That's what we did with the kids.
Oh, fun. I wonder if our paths crossed then back in the day before even right now. Because I was in the shop a lot back when it was Snickerdoodles. And we started out with like foam flooring, on the floor and just like kind of Montessori toys. And I was there with my kids almost every day. It's kind of funny. Small world.
I love that about North Carolina. Like every time I talk to someone, it's like, what is it, the 7 degrees of separation, they say? And
Yeah.
so yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that was
Here it's
you?
3. Yeah.
It's freaking awesome. So I love that.
Yeah.
And it makes me really happy for you to be able to bring that to the Triangle because that is one thing as a stay-at-home mom. There was like, cool, a museum, but I needed something more small and intimate when I was going
Yeah.
to meet with my friends.
You didn't want to chase your kids everywhere. You just kind of wanted some place that they could be and exist while you existed too. Like it was kind of a mutually beneficial facility versus like Marbles, which is really 100% for the kids and really not for moms to like get anything done. So I think Again, for me, I think my kids were 4 and 6 at the time, 3 and 5, something like that. And so it was definitely like a huge need for me. And that's always been, I think, my driving force with entrepreneurship in general is like, well, what do I need? Because I'm always like my customer. And so I always feel like I tap into what do I need, that then when I share my need with other people, it resonates with them. And then I try to figure out like, okay, if I'm not the only person needing this, how can we make this happen? And so that, Little Doodles is a really big example of that for me.
It is. When I moved to Clayton, I was kind of sad because it was such a far drive for me. And I was like, we need one of those here. So hopefully, I don't know. I don't have little kids anymore, but I hope that they do have something here for them.
Yeah, I think a couple of different places have opened, not under that umbrella. My kids are older now too; they're teens, and so we don't really, need anything like that at this point either. But I do think there's one like on 42 that opened, and then there's the Little Doodles in Wendell that is not super far from Clayton. So
Oh,
there's some options now.
well, that's really, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That I hope
Yeah,
that works for somebody that needs it. I'm glad that our kids
yeah,
got to grow up and now we're just like, what's the next thing you need? You know?
uh-huh. Now it's like arcades and video games and having all the teens in my living room
Yes. I was
to hang out. Like they don't want to go anywhere; they just want to be together.
That's really good. I was just gonna say, like, so I have an age gap between my youngest and my oldest, which is about 10 years. And so when my son was like a teenager, we had lived in Clayton, obviously, and there was like nothing for them to do. But like now they have fair game, and I think there's something in Selma. So I mean, it's coming up.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, cool.
So let's talk about the grassroots initiatives and the funding ideas that you did for getting this Little Doodles up.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we had started on an Indiegogo platform, which is crowdsourcing, crowdfunding. You kind of offer a perk in exchange for your community to like essentially donate funds to help you get started. Um, and then I think as far as like the grassroots movement, which is kind of really what I'm tying, back into right now in my life with Unsanctioned Rehearsal Society, is getting the community involved and giving them a benefit and getting them excited to where they are your initiative. The community is the people talking about you. They're the ones standing behind you. They're the ones supporting you because what you're trying to do is bring value to them. And so I think like that's a really big portion of grassroots movements is like you can't just go into it saying like I'm starting a business. Um, just please support me, support me, support me. But you have to kind of give it back to the community to say, well, here's how my business is going to support you, or here's how my organization is going to support you. And I think that's where the movement starts, and you start getting people who are reaching out to you because they're hearing it from somebody who told them about it, who told them about it. And I think like that's really the portion of like, I don't know if you want to call it marketing or just community investment, that has really helped shape the Little Doodle success story, and then also just kind of what I've been doing now with community theater and Unsanctioned Rehearsal Society.
Let's talk about the Unsanctioned Rehearsal Society. That's really hard for me to say, and I apologize.
It's kind of a tongue twister when you say it like over and over again.
So tell us about that. Is that something that you just recently started, or was this something that you kind of always dreamt about doing, or how did it get started?
Yeah, so I mean, along the same lines as Little Doodles, and now, we just said my kids are older, they don't need me as much. So I kind of I had moved to Clayton a couple years ago, didn't really have a way or couldn't really figure out how to tap into the community here. Like I was trying to figure out like what do I join? I don't really need like moms groups anymore. Again, my kids are older. I need something that's for me. So taking that mindset of what do I need that I don't see yet? And how can I bring that to the community? What I love doing in my spare time is going to the theater. Like I love Broadway. I love watching musicals on TV that have been movie adaptations of musicals. Um, love going to DPAC in Durham and kind of was like, noodling around the internet. Like, are there any theaters in Clayton? I know that the Clayton Center does some really cool shows. They pull in, entertainment and they book really cool shows. And then I know News Little Theater in Smithfield is super successful and does great things for the community that I think a lot of our Clayton residents do participate and enjoy. But I had just felt like something in our backyard was missing. And I just put it out there. Similar again to Little Doodles, I just kind of put it out there like, hey, this is something I feel is missing from my life. Is anybody else interested or feeling it's missing from their life in Clayton? And the response was phenomenal. Like I I posted that in July of 2024. Um, to like 100 comments, 100 people joining an interest group. Like, it just really blew up. And under a different umbrella, we had started a community theater initiative, put on a whole production in November called Community Garden. Um, Before I kind of felt the need to pivot a little bit from this big community theater concept and really pull back to scale something that was going to be sustainable. So some of the cast members from that group became the founding members of Unsanctioned Rehearsal Society. And it really was built around the community and connection and how can we do this for like literally no money, right? Funding, grassroots. Like how can we put these shows on? We had fundraised for the show that we did. It took a lot of effort. It took a lot of begging. It took a lot of like, hey, your business should support us. And us also kind of being like, but you don't really know who we are. So why should your business support us? And it was kind of like a struggle, to get people backing us up financially. Um, so after that first show was a great success, a few of the cast members and I were like, how can we kind of maybe pull this back, integrate this more into the community at a really low, like almost zero entry cost? And that birthed this concept of bringing theater to our local venues versus like having audience members come to our big venue or a big show. So, our first show that we'll be putting on this in just a few days actually is actually taking place in a bottle shop in Clayton called Main Street Wine and Beer, and we sold tickets to a little intimate show where people can sit down. They're going to enjoy a wine tasting and scenes of love and heartbreak and passion, while like Cupid is our narrator, who's kind of like, love sucks, I don't want to do this anymore. And each scene that she's unfold each scene that's unfolding before her is paired with a wine that what Main Street Wine and Beer's wine expert has paired for us. um and we're doing this for like on our end as unsanctioned. We're doing this show for, we haven't needed to raise money because there's really nothing to pay for, and we have partnered with business to where they are going to get the revenue because they're hosting us. We want to do this for a small business, totally support small local businesses and entrepreneurs. So I felt like as an organization, we don't need to make the money right now. We're still growing. We just really want to do this because we love it, but we can still support that entrepreneurial spirit by like partnering with these cool venues, offering really intimate theater experiences, growing our theater community, and like kind of bringing it all together for our town. So that's where we're at right now with everything.
I absolutely love this because I, in the past, went to intimate shows over at Revival, and they had like burlesque
Yeah.
shows, right? And I'm
Mhm.
like, this is great. I don't feel overwhelmed. I'm enjoying this theater.
Yeah.
I love this. I love that you're bringing this to Clayton, and I hope to see
Yeah.
you guys like on the Clayton Center sometime on the big
Oh yeah.
stage.
I mean, we definitely have like big dreams, like I would love to have a venue. Like I would love to open a black box theater for our community that could be used for other arts and entertainment ventures. My husband and I just went on a date night last night to a wine shop in Garner that did kind of a similar immersive style show. It was a murder mystery,
Ooh.
and all the audience dressed up in like 1920s, and like the cast was 1920s, and they put on this really cute show. It was only 2 rows of chairs. There's probably 40 people in the audience. um and they did the show like in the aisles in between the chairs, so they didn't need a stage, they didn't need like, and I think it's those kind of creative thinking and outside of the box, like how can we really utilize and leverage what we already have in our town and collaborate with that to bring something new to the community to enjoy, because we're growing, we have people here that want the arts and entertainment aspect of a small town. And yeah, so it's like it's really you know an effort that is meant to connect our community, but also bring something new here that I don't think we have a lot of. So that's kind of where it's
I will agree with you on that. I'm from Sarasota, Florida, and I don't know if you know much about that, but we have like, a lot of arts and theater there.
at.
John and
Mhm.
Mabel Ringling brought a lot of that there.
Okay.
And so when I moved here, I noticed like little hints of like, back home, like when they did the sculptures and stuff like that, and they did the
Yeah.
art walk. And I was like, these are great things, but I love that you're bringing even more because live theater is so great. It's like the best experience versus going to like
Oh,
a
so
movie,
good.
for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
I just think it takes so much work to put one on. And I watch our cast. I don't act, so I'm kind of behind the scenes. The show that we're doing right now is a show that I actually wrote for I've never written anything in my life, like as far as a play. And I threw this play together just kind of like little scenes. It wasn't super challenging. But our cast is bringing it to life because there's so much like emotion and passion that goes into acting on stage that I just think is so real when you see it live. You don't get that. I mean, I get it from movies, but you think of the whole production of a movie. They cut, they edit, hey, do it again until you get it right. When you're acting in a show, it has to be right in the moment, and it's live and it's real. And so I think that's what's always just resonated with me. Like I get goosebumps talking about it. Um, because it is so much work and it's like instant, it's instant satisfaction, it's instant gratification. There are no cuts, there are no take twos, like you just are doing it. And that's just always, like I said, just very much been a huge passion for me, like everything from smaller intimate theater performances to like going to Broadway shows. And so I just think it's really cool that we have enough of an interest in Clayton, even from our cast members, that they want to try to bring this to our community too, because I think, again, like I can't be the only person who's like this excited about this kind of stuff. I hope I'm not, but we'll have to find out. But yeah, so really, like I said, that's, I think I love that you're passionate about, theater. And I think it's a really, just something that really grows and is vital to a community is access to the performing arts. So yeah.
I agree. Just this is a little side note, but recently I learned about Eartha Kitt and how she was a performer and just the things that she
Mhm.
did, and it really like it got me really excited for it whenever I because I just learned about this like 2 days ago, and then I knew that we were doing the podcast, and I was like, yes, like this is something I feel like has been missing from my life because I grew up around it obviously, but I've never like participated. And one of my best friends when I was in high school, her grandmother used to perform at the Golden Apple Dinner Theater. And I thought that was like the coolest thing in
Mhm.
the world, right?
Yeah.
But I never got into it. And so now that my children are grown and like you, I have more time for myself, that's something that I'm actually
Hmm.
looking to get into. So I was going to take
I
some
would love
acting
that.
classes and I was going to, do some
Yeah,
things like
come and hang out with us. You need to just become a member and we can hang out and talk theater all day long.
See, that's exciting. So that's what my next question is tell us who would be a good fit for your group and what do you guys do besides obviously put on a show? Do you guys do like dress rehearsals?
Yeah, so we that was kind of the whole pivot again from like a community theater concept to this kind of tagline that I'm saying is like we're not a community theater. We're a theater community. So we are a community of theater lovers, and I think really anybody can join who has the interest and the collaborative spirit. So you don't necessarily have to have like acting chops. Again, I don't have any acting chops. But you don't have to have, you don't need to be an actor, you don't need to be a writer, you don't need to be a musician. You can be, we would love to have that talent come in. But really, if you are somebody who just loves theater and wants to help coordinate events with us, or just wants to come like have social time with us, we plan to have like meetups throughout the year. Right now, our goal I think is about 2 productions per year, just as we're starting out and maybe seeing what other opportunities come in the meantime with that. But really, a big goal, which our founding member Kelly Phillips had brought into the picture, is her concept, and she would be great to have on here, by the way. But her concept was, she was a cast member in our first show, and she had said, I don't want to lose these relationships that I have with these cast members and wait till the next show to have to like connect with them again and meet new people and, have to like reconnect with a whole new group of people each production. So her concept was, what if we kept the momentum and the connection going in between productions with consistent social times, field trips to go see shows together, maybe even doing like acting workshops, writing workshops, things that we could kind of collaborate with and learn from each other. And so that's really what Unsanctioned Rehearsal Society is about. Our name really reflects like we don't fit a box of this is what community theater is supposed to be. We are unsanctioned. We can do whatever we want. So we're going to try to do whatever we want to do outside the realm of traditional theater. So, and tying it into traditional community theater as we grow and as we become established, to where hopefully, maybe in the next 2, 3 years, we have enough of a community built and supporting us and, maybe have developed funding efforts and sponsorship programs to where we can actually bring that traditional concept of community theater to Clayton, but kind of within this realm of like the community actually helped build this, not us. So that's really, I think, at the heart of everything that we're doing right now is maintaining connection with each other through a love of the performing arts. And I think that's really like the key to joining us or to wanting to be a part of it is if you have that spirit like that, then you belong with us. So
Absolutely. And that's the only way you're going to find your people, right? Is to like attract them. So I love
yeah,
this.
yeah, exactly. And that, that theater people are like, it's one of those like let your freak flag fly kind of thing. Like theater people are cool. Like I love it. And yeah, it's just been a really fun experience, and I'm really excited to kind of keep it growing and the direction that things have been taken.
So let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about the goals that you guys have. So what are some of your really big goals?
I know big goals. I think like so we have kind of like long range planning goals, and we have kind of like urgent immediate goals. So like I think our immediate goals are to just launch these social times. Like we have one coming up actually. We're gonna just hang out at Revival on Monday in March, on a Monday in March. But we hope to have that like once a month. Like just come hang out. Let's grab drinks together. We are right now going to be a 21 plus society as far as like memberships and who we are trying to pull in just to have an adult aspect. There's a lot of youth theater opportunities. A lot of the high schools here have, drama clubs, performing arts programs. There's a couple of other youth theater things in the area, and we don't want to step on toes, and we think that's great for them. But again, pulling from like my selfish motive of I want to be involved in something for me, we've kind of put that like 21 plus for now kind of a mentality on things. But yeah, so immediate goals are consistency, I would say, like a consistency to that meetup gathering social time. And so we're trying to develop this events calendar that's going to be posted on our website where people can check us out, come and get to know us. Um, Second goal from that would be actually building out a membership base. So we do intend to be like a paid association at some point to where you would pay like a yearly membership due to be part of the society and be able to come to our community events that are more like society only events. If we can get a decent amount of people having like group discounts available to like go to Raleigh Little Theater for a show together, DPAC for a show together, that's definitely part of our goals is to be able to offer like group discounts on tickets. Maybe partner with some local businesses who are, hey, if you're a society member, you get a discount to here, you get a free, one free drink in the year, something like that, just some kind of perks for joining. As a member, we are also building out kind of benefits where you would get like priority audition. Like if you are, in order to kind of join our theater, you become a society member, but then you also get access to like priority auditions and being able to kind of be seen first before we open auditions up to like the public kind of thing. So we're trying to build in these little perks that would make it worth it to become like a member of our group. So I would say like those again, those two are probably the most immediate goals is the consistency to our event schedule and then trying to launch like the actual membership program for it. Long-term goals would be to grow this thing to again be able to have some theater like a black box theater that we could perform in home like be our home but also offer as like a cool arts and entertainment collaborative space, maybe like a co-working space
Mhm.
for the art type of space. um, I think me and Kelly like to dream big too, where in my head it's even crossed my mind like we could have different chapters. We could have the Unsanctioned Rehearsal Society of, Smithfield and of God, I can't think of any names here right now, but you know where I'm getting where I'm going with that. But like kind of being able to have these different chapters of membership associations that, are kind of pulling this love for theater together in their communities. So I'd say that's like long term goal and the immediate goals right now.
That's fabulous. This is just me asking out of curiosity, but have you visited the Chamber of Commerce?
We do plan to join. So right now we are considered an unincorporated association. We have like 6 members at the moment. And so we have not actually like filed anything yet. We're kind of slowly rolling out what this is going to look like for us from a entity standpoint. So we don't actually have any funds. So like I said, we're kind of zero revenue, zero cost. So like our revenue from our first show is not ours. We have partnered with the venue and it's her business. She's selling the tickets. We are just like essentially the free entertainment for her. um, so we would love to connect with the chamber. We're just not really like an entity yet to become a member. It would be like me joining as myself, and I just haven't taken that step yet. But yes, like I think it's on our radar of what groups we need to join and kind of connect with to continue growing. We just this started our Unsanctioned Rehearsal Society launched in January, so we're just on month 2 of trying to figure out all of like the puzzle pieces because we had put on that production with the initial interest group back in November. Then the holidays hit and we kind of were like resetting on like, hey, how do we continue this like journey of theater, but maybe in a different way? And so we just, like I said, we just kind of are at that early point of like, what, looking at the date, like 6 weeks, 7 weeks in to this whole concept coming to life again.
That's great. And I cannot wait to hear how that goes. The reason I mention that is because I know a lot of businesses, small businesses around there, and they love to collaborate. And just to
Mhm.
introduce yourself and let them know your concept,
Yeah,
I just feel like that'd be a really good connection for you. And then there's,
yeah.
the Small Business Association, or I'm sorry, the Small Business Center.
Hmm.
I keep saying association. That's not what I mean. But
Yeah.
Suzanne Ross, she's definitely a great person to
Okay.
connect with because she can connect you with other people who are on the same like
Mhm.
level that you are that want to help you. So that's
Cool.
definitely something
Yeah,
to think about too.
that's great to know. Yeah,
Yeah. I'm all about the networking. I don't know if you listen to the show, but I love
me too.
networking.
Yeah.
And
Networking makes the world go round. Like literally you cannot run a business in a vacuum. Like you have to be able to connect and network and be there for your community. And I think a huge part of that again, is like not just saying, "Hey, I need your support," but like coming in and being like, "Hey, here's how we can support you back." And I think that's really what we want to do as we start partnering with these businesses and meeting, people involved in the chamber, the Downtown Alliance and all of those things. Um but I think in order to make that connection, we need to kind of like hone in on, well, what are we offering, like what is our community offering. And so I think we're getting there, we're definitely shaping up to that point, but it's still just a work in progress, so
no,
we'll get there for sure.
that's great. So you're gonna have to come
Yeah,
back in a year and you're gonna have to update us on everything that has
yeah,
happened.
like
Okay. So
progress report.
yeah, I expect that. I want all of my guests to come back in a year and just kind of update us and like let us know what's going on
Yeah,
because I like to
I
follow
love that.
people's journey. And I feel like this is a great
Yeah.
journey. I'm really excited for you. I think you guys are doing amazing things. And I love that you're bringing theater to Clayton because I feel like we don't really have that much around
Hmm.
here when it comes to like adult entertainment.
Yeah.
So that,
And that's all we're really trying to do is just like expand and add to the scene. We went to Revival last night and they had a jazz band, and I'm like, I love that we have access to this. Like it's just such a cool vibe and concept. And I think what gets me excited is just contributing to that. Like being able to say, hey, go out for a date, come watch this show, Unsanctioned Rehearsal Society is putting on at this venue, but then after you can still like grab drinks at Revival or go to Deep River. Like there's a whole like nightlife that's coming out in Clayton, and I do feel like it's something I just want to be part of. Like I think that there's a really big place for the arts to intertwine with everything else that's kind of growing out here. Um, and it's also one of those like other towns are doing it, so why not us? Like if we can get this somewhere else, then we can get this here in Clayton too. So that's really just been the driving force for us too, is just making it happen here in our backyard so we can have easy access to it.
no, that's really exciting. And I'm here for it. And I can't wait to see how it grows. This is something that ever since I moved here, I'm like, we need more stuff, but it doesn't necessarily have to be bars because nobody wants to go to a bar. But
Yeah.
a cocktail lounge and a nice theater show,
Hmm.
sold. I'm in.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Absolutely.
did you want to talk about the episode that you released on the possible podcast that you're doing?
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. We kind of like just threw together a podcast. Again, my co-founder, co-member, Kelly is genius with YouTube and podcasting. Like she's really great with everything like that. And so she's like, hey, let's just put together a quick show, promote our first, upcoming performance, kind of talk about Unsanctioned Rehearsal Society. And I think the goal with that is to eventually grow to like have some sort of cool local theater podcast, maybe where we interview different kinds of actors and creatives and people involved in the society or people just involved in other towns, community theater. Like I'm just throwing this all out. I have not talked to Kelly about this at all. So she might listen and be like, wait a second, what are we doing? But I think it really could grow into something. But the first one was really just kind of a way for us to put ourselves out there and say, hey, here's who we are. I'm sure you know, and I think other business owners know, other people starting things know, it can be hard in our digital world to not have to not put a face to what the organization is, or to not really feel like there's real people behind all of these different posts that you're seeing and photos you're seeing. Like there are real people behind that, like driving it and trying to make it worth it for your audience to be engaged and to see, and trying to tap into the algorithm and all that stuff that goes into it. But like there are real people that are actually trying to make that scene for, for our audiences. And I think that was kind of a big point with the podcast, was like, let's get our voices out there. Let's put, it wasn't recorded video, but just kind of let's really let the community know, like, there are real people behind this effort that are doing it for very, like, pure selfish and selfless reasons. Like, we want this for ourselves, but really at the heart of it is like, we want you to want it for yourselves too, and we want to be the group that's bringing it to Clayton. So yeah, I think that with the podcast we can, if we do continue it and it grows into something that we can capture an audience and capture listeners, it will be a great place for us to kind of have that theater loving themed kind of a podcast, but we'll see where it goes.
I'm excited, so I'm going to stay tuned because that's the whole reason I do this podcast, because I want to be like, hey, look, cool, it's a business, but it's also a person with a story. And I think you
Yeah.
get to know that story and that person so that you can decide whether or not you think that business is something you want in your life. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things about owning a business. I also own a business, is getting yourself in front of people so that they learn who you are and like you, know, like, and trust you,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you have to think outside the box for those things too. You have to put podcasts out and again, bring your expertise to other people so that you're here collaborating and spotlighting other people besides yourself for your business, as an outlet for you to be seen, but you're also giving back. And I think that is like really that's what it's all about. And I think that's where business success comes from, is when you're not just selfishly saying, why is nobody buying my stuff? Why is nobody clicking on my ads? Why is nobody doing this? Well, if you're not doing anything for anybody else, they're not going to do anything back for you. And I think like being able to provide that is a really big key in just being successful overall in business. So trying to bring that mindset, even though Unsanctioned Rehearsals isn't a business for me, I'm not planning to ever really make money off it. If we do end up incorporating down the line and having some revenue share, that's something. But for me, I'm starting this more as a passion, more as a, hobbyist and somebody who really wants to tap into our community here. But I bring a huge business mindset to how it's being run and to how we're promoting and to how we're partnering. And so I try to keep in mind all the small businesses that we could work with and help and, collaborate with them, because I have that business mindset. And so it's not really like we're, and Kelly, again, my co-founder, she has a very big business background too. So I think together we're looking at this as like, this could be something, but let's start it as nothing and let's see where it goes. But we're both bringing a very heavy like business mind, both of our business minds to it, which I think is important when you're starting something too, even though it's not necessarily our entrepreneurial journey in this moment to make money for ourselves, but it is still a very big piece of our entrepreneurial backgrounds are going into this so that we can connect and figure out how to make it successful.
Yes, and to piggyback off on what you're saying too, I think, because I own a business, obviously, and that's kind of what I brought to the podcast, is like the business mindset. And I think that's kind of important because while it did start out as a hobby for me as well, it's turned into a part-time job, and I'm happy about it. So don't get me wrong, but I feel like if I didn't have that like business background, I would have no idea what I'm doing and probably just give up. And so I do think that's very important. And I'm glad to see that you're applying it to more than just your business, because we're entrepreneurs, right? That's just how we think all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Like solving problems, trying to find solutions, like that just comes with the territory. I think of when you've launched something and helped others launch something. And so it is a very big part of what we're bringing into this. Again, just the mindset of like, how do we run this as an organization, as like how do we build processes out? How do we market in a way that's like appealing and, like cool and creative, but also how do we present ourselves as, again, like something that's for the community? This isn't just, we're not gaining anything from it outside of personal gratification at this point, and just being happy to be doing it and loving theater. So but I do think having that business background and applying all these different things, my journeys, her journeys, even other people in our cast and what they've done with their lives, like it's really brought together a really cool energy to make something happen, as opposed to us all like kind of the blind leading the blind, like we're not the blind leading the blind. We're like really smart people with these business backgrounds being like, how do we apply this into something else to make it successful? So I think it's been a really cool opportunity for all of us to do that.
No, it's great. And I love that you're bringing it to Clayton and that it's your passion and it's not just you going, well, I want to make money off of it, because I feel that you can tell when a business owner just wants to make money and when they're
Hmm.
actually
Yeah.
passionate. And I do, from personal experience, know that whenever you're really passionate about something, sometimes that passion can override your common sense when it comes to business. And you could
Hmm.
find yourself being a people pleaser or being every customer
Right.
is, my customer. And so I don't want to say the word balance because I hate saying that, but I feel like it's, up and down because ebb and flow, right?
Yeah.
You just kind of keep your passion, but also your common sense and your business and just kind of
Exactly.
make them
Yeah.
come together.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, very important. One of the things that I had to learn early on was to make that make sense together, like a zipper when it goes in and not just do what I want because I'm passionate about it. I'll clean your house for
Yeah.
17 hours. Well, I'm only going to pay you for 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
So
you need to be able to sustain it, but I do think having passion is really is essentially key though to being successful in a lot of endeavors, not just business, but even, this with our organization, but it can be so easy as a business owner though to lose the passion when like the business and the logic and the common sense has to take over, and then you kind of start losing like, oh, this isn't fun anymore, and everything that made it exciting isn't, because now like my livelihood depends on it. So I definitely think finding that balance of like, how do I maintain the passion that I bring to this, and that I wanted to do this in the first place, but how do I sustain it with the need, for making money, for keeping customers happy, for for like all the business side of things. And I think definitely it can be a struggle, like it's definitely not easy having that. But again, like just you mentioned the word passion. Like, yes, I think passion is such a big part of anything I've ever started, has started with a seed of my personal interest and passion in it before diving into doing it. Like if somebody came up to me and was like, can you please help me start like a computer repair company, I probably would be like, I have absolutely no interest in doing that for you. Like, I could probably do it. I could probably like help and consult, but if that passion for me is not there, like, I'm not going to partner with you on it. I'm not going to like give it my all. So I do think there has to be that to start it. And then you have to like bring in the common sense and the logistics and the rational thinking to make it successful, and just kind of keep that from overriding each other. Right.
yes, that's one of the many challenges we face as entrepreneurs. So I was going to ask you, how are some of the ways that you make sure that you're not letting one thing override the other and you're keeping the momentum going? Because sometimes it's hard as a business owner in general.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be totally honest with you. I don't know. I don't know that I have. I think it with, with Little Doodles, my passion did start to deplete down the line because my kids became my passion, and their educational needs became my passion, and so it did affect my ability to contribute to the company. And so that was really a big portion of why I sold it. But I think even in that, knowing when to fold in a way, I think is a big way to do that. Knowing when to set boundaries and when to tell yourself, like, I gave this my all in that moment and it's not bringing value to my life anymore. So it's time to do something different. It's time to pivot. It's time to rethink. And I think that knowing there's no failure in doing that is important. And so I think, you know, I don't know that that answers the question specifically, because I'm trying to think of like, I think when I start losing my passion, I tend to want to flee. Like I tend to want to be like, this isn't worth it for me anymore. But then when my passion overtakes the other side, where I'm like not being smart about things, or maybe I'm losing money, or I'm taking time away from my family, or I'm not really looking at things from all perspectives because I'm so honed in on like, this is my interest, this is what I want to do. I feel like in that case, like the concepts don't ever even they never take shape in the first place. So, like there's never, because I'm not able to rationally conceptualize them. Like I have a lot of ideas that float in my head all the time that I'm very passionate about, but I think at this point that passion overrides the logistics and the rationality behind it, so they don't come to life. They just stay like this like untouched interest of mine that I'm like super excited to talk about or to tell somebody, hey, this would be a really great idea. Um so yeah, I don't know that I have like figured it out like how to actually balance it outside of maybe just like setting boundaries and recognizing, like, kind of self-awareness, I think is key, is being like, am I in a position to let this passion become something more, or when it has taken shape, when it's taken root already and now it's a business, it's something that exists, is my passion continuing, or is it bringing value into my life, or is it time to rethink things? So I think like maybe that's been the biggest way, is like when it really stops bringing value, whether financial, emotional, fulfillment, whatever it might be. To know it's not a failure to say it's time to not do this anymore. It's time to rethink what this looks like for me. And I think that's really important to do in life in general, but as a business owner, um, so that you don't get burnt out and run yourself into the ground and, financially dig holes you can't get out of. And, I think there's a lot to be said about pushing too far. And I just think there's that fine line between like, don't give up, but also like, don't give everything, because then what do you have left? So, yeah, I think that's really maybe what I've done, is when I realize that I might be giving too much, or I might, not end up in a healthy mental capacity or a good place with my family, I've just pivoted and set boundaries.
That's really good advice, because I am one of those people who will give everything until it hurts, right? And then I realize, oh, this probably isn't a good idea. So one of the lessons I had to learn was when to pivot, how to pivot. My therapist once said to me, whenever you look at a situation, just think, how bad does it have to get for me to do whatever the next move
Hmm.
is? And
Yeah.
I was like, that actually really helps, because I have to think about it, 10 steps ahead to make sure I'm making the right decision. And I don't want my passion to burn out. And I have actually found myself in burnout. So that's one of the things that
Yeah.
I was beyond burnout. I was an ash out. I was to the point where I was like, "Ugh, I can't do this anymore."
Hmm.
And then I had to like
Yeah.
ignite myself, because, like you said, my livelihood depended on it. And I just didn't take the pivot when I should have. So I
Hmm.
literally put my foot in my mouth and was like, all right, we're going to not do that again. So I think
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
important as a business owner to know when to pivot. And then the next one, the big one, is how to pivot. So I love that
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was there anything else that you wanted to share with the listeners? Any upcoming events?
I don't think
Anything?
so. I mean, just, would love everyone to follow us, just see what we're up to, keep tabs on us as we grow. We are just the Unsanctioned Rehearsal Society. Our website is unsanctionedrehearsals.org, and I can send that to you. But yeah, just kind of watch out for what we're doing. And if you do want to get involved, if anyone listening is like, this sounds like something I've been looking for, something I really want to be a part of, like, reach out, because we want to have you.
I'm really excited to see how you grow, and I look forward to you coming to us in a year and letting us know how much you've grown. So
I can't wait for that either.
super excited. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your knowledge with us. Oh, my voice is going. Excuse me.
I know, I feel it too. I keep like drinking my coffee, hoping it'll like lubricate, and it's not.
Okay, I'm like, oh, all right, I'm just going to sound like a smoker. All right, try this again. Thank you so much for joining me today and all of your knowledge. I really appreciate your expertise in this. And we look forward to having an update in a year. And thank you guys for listening. Join us again next week for another amazing episode of Down Home Dirt. Don't forget to like and subscribe.